everybody, and welcome to my video, Getting Tidier. I hope you're well. Boy, do I have a video for you today. My goodness, getting tidier. Goodness me, more like getting untidy before the chaos and the mess covers my entire room. So I pick up on this video where I left off on my last video. I'm just determined. What I've suddenly thought to myself is I need to sort out stuff from the top of my house down. So I feel like there's a couple of rooms downstairs which are better than what they've ever been. I, for example, just did a 10-minute tidy up in my lounge, and that gets to quite a decent sort of standard, which that would never have done before. But I've got so many problems with the storage in this room, I really need to tackle it. I have filled these cupboards full of some things, not every cupboard, but some of the cupboards full of things that I just wanted to kind of forget about. So there's some toys, some books, paperwork, school books. I've got all the books from when I was 4 years old all the way through to when I was 16. But then I've also got some A-level work there. I've got my master's degree there. I've got my psychology degree there. So I have got so many things that, yes, some of them I do want to keep, but there's an awful lot. Like, do I need a maths book from when I was 5? You know, it's lovely to see the sums that I've done, but realistically, why am I keeping that? So we were short of papers to make the guy. So I thought, I know what I'll do. I will go through and I'll sort out some papers upstairs. But I need, so my cupboards are all in the eaves, and they go from the left there all the way through into that room on the right, which is my tiny study. So it's a really good space. It's all been boarded out. As I said, it used to have lights in there as well, which none of the lights work, but it's all been boarded out. And I mentioned in my last video about how I thought there was going to be loads of space. And I opened up the cupboards and I thought, oh, where is all the space for my suitcases? And now I realise that I did move things around. So my Easter and Halloween and Christmas cupboard, that is the cupboard that should have enough space for a suitcase. But of course, I've recently put a child's cot in there, baby cot, haven't I? Baby doll cot. So that now doesn't have quite so much space. But I've got to be ruthless with this, because what I'm thinking more and more and more, and if you're going through this as well, I'd really encourage you to think about this. Because I'm not sorted out the storage and I'm not organised in the storage, that means that I'm climbing over suitcases in different rooms and going away bags. I've got to do something about this. So I'm determined, and I'm waiting for my husband to say, oh, what on earth have you done to this bedroom? But I'm determined to clear stuff out, take stuff out and sort things through. I want to create a bag for charity shop. There's a bag that's going in the bin, a bag that I'm going to be burning, and a bag that needs to go to recycling. So all the papers from that I'm sorting out that I don't need anymore are going to be going into the guy. I also found that box of more photographs. I went through some more photographs and got rid of some more photographs. And because the box is kind of half empty, there were some other loose photographs in a bag that I was then able to put in that box. And that box is going to be brought down and put in the wardrobe drawer, like I mentioned in my last video. Now you could see just there for a second, when I opened the doors, I paused and just like looked, and I was like, oh, where do I start? So we've got a big mattress in there, our full-size tent and sleeping bag. So they're all things that obviously we need to keep, and we need to keep in a good dry environment, so they're not suitable for us to put them in the shed or in our little outside shelter. We could perhaps put the tent out, but I just don't want to risk getting any sort of black mold on it, because it's like really good condition. My husband always makes a point of making sure it's all folded away really well and really looks after it all. So that kind of really needs to stay there. But then I found some other things. So I found some more Lego sets, and then like some random bags that I just put in there. And one of the bags looks like at some point I've just emptied the contents of one of my daughter's rattan boxes. I don't remember doing it. So you can also see me just there, because I've created some space in my plastic container, which is full of some of her clothes that I want to keep. I was able to put some more in there. There are some things that I just thought, oh, am I being a little bit silly keeping? But at the moment I don't feel able or willing to get rid of them. I'm sure next time I revisit, like I talk about my layers, don't I? Next time I revisit, I'll have different views and different memories. I mean, there are some baby grows that she actually never wore that I've decided to keep hold of, but still, there are various reasons why I don't feel able to get rid of them at this stage. There's one baby grow that's really, really, really heavily worn, and it's like marked, and it's obviously been through the wash, but it just reminds me of a time when we were using all these different creams to try and maintain my daughter's skin because her eczema was so severe. So I managed to put quite a lot more in the plastic container, and then that gives more space in that bag. But I keep having problems with these bags where I take all the air out, the vacuum bags, and then they reinflate, which is really not helpful, and that's why I struggled getting one of them out of that cupboard. There's also a couple of toys there, which is funny because one of them she's not played with for a long time, and obviously she's outgrown them. But she said, "Oh, can I play with that once more before we get rid of it?" I was like, "Yes, sure." And then I found a bag full of all my toys as well. A few years ago, my mum was, I think, sorting out her loft, and she found a massive great bin bag full of my toys, many of which I had no recollection of. One I looked at and kind of vaguely remembered. Others I did remember. I can remember one, Monica in Lido di Jesolo in Italy. I was about 10. She gave me this little cat. Monica was a lady that worked in the hotel. And years later, I actually went back to the hotel. But Monica no longer works there. I guess she was probably just there for a season. And then I started going through some other bags in the cupboard. So when I was about 11 or 12, I made loads of rag dolls. And my mum, again, through clearing her house out, has given me all the rag dolls that I made. Now, there were some rag dolls that had no legs, some rag dolls that had no arms. So I've decided to be sensible about them and get rid of them because there's no point keeping them. I think in the end, 8 rag dolls went down to 4 rag dolls. Then there was a massive great bin bag full of dolls' clothes. And it really just looked like I'd emptied one of the rattan baskets into the bin bag and then just shoved it in the cupboard. Why I did that, I do not know, because it's really not helping myself, is it? I just think, wouldn't it be lovely if this cupboard is nearly empty and I can just easily slot my suitcases in there? It's going to be so much easier. So you can see I changed the video camera slightly so you can see some of the things I'm dealing with, but there's lots of random things in this black bin bag. The part of the problem with some of this though is that I do need my daughter to check some of the things. Where things belong to her, I don't feel able just to get rid of stuff, and also she knows what clothes belong to which dolls. So we've got quite a few our generation bits. A couple of bits she wants to keep, but most of it she wants to get rid of. All the Corolla clothes, that's an Italian doll. She had this Italian doll that me and my husband bought her, and that's a really lovely doll, and the clothes are nice, so she's going to keep those. But there are other things. There were also some clothes in there, like dresses, age 0 to 3, that a friend of mine gave me. My daughter never wore them because her eczema was so bad, but my daughter did use them for some of her dolls. But I didn't have any emotional attachment to them because she never wore them. And there was never any plan for her to wear them. So I decided to get rid of all of those. But that does take some time because I'm going through each item and making a decision on each item. So it really does take quite some time. So you can see at this moment how I can only just fit in there, and I am surrounded by stuff. I really am surrounded by stuff. And at the moment we're having to climb over stuff in order to get to bed at night. We found a little parachute that my daughter looks for every single year to do the parachute jump for the teddy bears from the church tower. So that was good. But yeah, we managed to get rid of a big bag in the end. So I think over the course of the next week, I've probably got 2 bags that I need to take to the charity shop. So I'm going to go through a few of your comments while you just watch me sorting through this bag. And I thank you very much again for taking the time to add comments to my video. I love reading the comments that you add, and it really means so much to me. So as you know, for this month, I'm donating any money that I make from this channel to Soul Foundation for their initiatives within Norfolk. So that's a range of different initiatives and projects they have, which is really about helping those that are in most need. So it could be helping stock their mini supermarket, where someone can come along, pay £5 and get a bag of shopping worth £30 or £40 of all things that they need and want. It could be where someone's supported with childcare, the help with uniform costs, with counselling, people that are struggling. And it's kind of a charity that gives that helping hands to get someone back on the path, back on the straight and narrow, and not kind of, sink into kind of more problems and more issues. And of course, by helping the parents, you're helping the children. So all the money that I make from the month of November, minus tax, of course, I will be sending to that charity. So please know that when you comment, when you like, when you watch that video, maybe you're a bit busy and you watch 10 minutes of my video. If you watch it for another 2 or 3 minutes and you watch another advert or you watch an old video, you are helping raise money for that charity. And I would love in the month of November to get over £100. I think we really could get over 100. So that's what my hope is. So the first comment I'm going to go through is from Budgie Bardo. And Budgie says, "Hi Emma, I was in our local fish and chip shop and you popped into my mind because up on their menu board they had pineapple fritters for £1. Thank you for reading out my comment. I would love to win one of your hangers." Thank you, Budgie Bardo, for replying to my comment. And how strange it was that you thought of me in the fish and chip shop. And also, I'm very impressed that there's anywhere in the United Kingdom that sells a pineapple fritter for £1. That is a bargain. Can you remind me where you are? Because that is a bargain, £1 for a pineapple fritter. The other comment is from Karen Davis. So Karen says, "Oh dear, I wrote a long babbling comment about being a Wren descendant, but it disappeared. In the 1960s, a man wrote a book tracing the family trees of all the original 1700 settlers of the small town I grew up in, called Falls Church. I'm also descended from Colonel James Wren, the architect of the Falls Church, which the town is named after." I love that. "Until that book was written, I hadn't known my mother's family were original settlers there. I can't draw or design anything, but I love history. I hope you caught the aphids in time to save your plants. Thanks for the scenes at the end of the video. I laughed at the lower goat barbers." Thank you very much for your comment. I find it really incredible that someone could find that sort of history about themselves. I suppose you can trace, though, different people that arrived from different countries and then, track the history of those people and whether they were famous and what types of jobs they had. I always absolutely love the fact that people in America have all these European roots. Now, I know that I probably do as well, but my history is traced back generations of generations of generations, and mostly it's Norfolk based. But we did discover that on my mum's side, she's got quite strong Scottish. One side is got Scottish roots. So she knows where the person's from in Scotland. And then I think they moved to London. But, quite far back, we've got strong Norfolk connections. And my maiden name and the other names in my family are quite, well known within Norfolk. We're very distantly related to a cricket player who was quite famous, and we are related to that piano player that did honky tonk type piano. Can't think of her name at the moment, but we were distantly related to her, but no claims to fame. I think my biggest claim to fame was that my family were involved in the thrashing machines in Norfolk. So that was an interesting piece of history. And also there's a sort of story that my maiden name changed, and there I might have some sort of German roots. I think I told you before that my mum, my dad and my sister have all done one of these ancestry checks, which is very, very interesting. I've not done one, but that's very interesting for them to see different places in Europe. And I guess because my mum and my dad and my sister have done, it's unlikely to show that much more for me, is it really? Okay, so next comment. Elsie Buttercup says, Emma, have you thought about using the spare bedroom as a drying room? You could attach lines from one side to the other. Just a thought to help getting your house always acceptable for visitors without a big hassle of clothes drying in view. The clothes will then be upstairs, ready to take to bedrooms to put away. Lots of love from Elsie, West Virginia. And then I replied to say, good idea, but I can't really get into that room. Kitty Cookie says she needs to buy a clothes dryer and a dishwasher and save herself a lot of time and energy. And Elsie says, yes, right now you can't. However, in the future, with all your leaps and bounds and decluttering, you may find yourself in a different situation. I love your videos and work right along with you. And I just replied, I'm so pleased to hear this. Thank you for your idea, Elsie. And I'm really pleased that you work alongside me. It's lovely to hear because you're helping me adding comments and giving me support and encouragement, and you're listening to me as you work. Holly says, beautiful hanger. You're so clever. I loved having a peek at the garden too. Great work. So I replied and said, I hope you follow me on the gardening channel. So my gardening channel is very small. I don't post that often, but I do post, I don't know, once a month, every so often. My focus is really trying to get on top of my house, but my garden is my real love. I do love my gardening. Now, if you're interested in following me on the gardening channel, just click on the community page on my YouTube channel, and you will see a couple of posts down. You'll see the link to my gardening channel. Nana Tracy says, great video, Emma. Thank you, Nana Tracy. Teague 80 says, I use eco and vegan washing up liquid. I work it into the stain. That also works. So I replied and said, that is such a great plan. It's so much cheaper. You don't need all these chemicals, do you? Teague 80 also said, I bought a heated clothes dryer from Lakeland years ago. It has a cover. I'd highly recommend it. We also have a dehumidifier because we have damp issues in our small conservatory. That too has been a game changer. It addresses any damp, condensation, and also helps to dry the washing. That's a great idea for it to dry the washing. Really, really helpful. I can't use a dehumidifier. I've mentioned, I think probably last winter when lots of you commented about me drying my washing indoors. I have got solid, soft Norfolk bricks, my house. There's no cavity walls. There's no insulation. So if I have a dehumidifier running in my house, I will literally extract moisture. I will pull moisture through the walls from outside, and that can cause various problems, including black mold and damp in the house. So I can't do that. Natalie Elliott. Hello, Natalie. Natalie's from the USA, and she says, I'm enjoying today's vlog. You're so determined and it shows. I used to be very particular about keeping house. It actually began with my first bout with COVID. It was awful, but luckily the second and third times were mild by comparison, and I'm muddling through. Do you know where you caught COVID? How unlucky to get it 3 times. That is really, really unlucky. I've got to say, I don't know whether you know, Natalie, or anyone else knows, I do not understand how people can still be testing. Because everything on the news, they all tell us, don't they, about how COVID has changed so many times, but the tests have not changed. And I did follow this up. I did check about the tests, and they have not changed. So I don't understand how the tests are still effectively picking up the changed COVID virus. Very interesting. Anyway, Natalie goes on to say, I'm in the process of creating a cosy room to be used as what you would call a snug. But first, I've got piles of paperwork to sort out. You've got piles of paperwork to sort out as well, Natalie. Do you fancy sorting out some of mine? I've got boxes and boxes. Making progress, slow and steady. You are my inspiration. And then a couple of little emojis. What a lovely thing to say. I'm loving that post. Thank you very much, Natalie. NBig says there are dishwashers that you roll up to sink and connect with a hose when in use. Not sure if you have room, but it is another option. I keep thinking about whether I'd be able to put my washing machine next to the outside toilet. And if I move my washing machine there, I could then put the dishwasher next to the sink. Now, if I put my washing machine next to my toilet, I'd have to take off the toilet door. But I do still have a kitchen door, so it would still be completely separate. There are definitely some things I can do with that. If I kept the door on the toilet, I wouldn't be able to. But if I opened it up, it would be possible. It's definitely something to think about. And that also makes me think about being very careful on what type of back door I choose. Because if I do take the door off, I need to be sensible about the back door I choose, because no one wants to be sitting on the toilet and be able to look in the back door. What I should do probably is, maybe I should do this. What do you think? I should do a little video and show you the area, the back door and the toilet. But be prepared to be horrified. I am the only one that uses the toilet, and I only use it when I'm in the middle of gardening. I pop in and pop out. So it's open to the elements, really, because there's a gap at the top of the door and there's a gap at the bottom of the door. It's generally full of cobwebs and leaves, so you wouldn't get anyone else going in there apart from me. Maybe I should do a little video. What do you think? Karen tells me about a stackable washer and dryer. She had one in her Toronto and Ottawa condos. What is a condo? Is a condo like a holiday home, or do you live in a condo? I'm never quite certain. My cousin talks about a condo and I'm never really sure. Jessica says, great video today. I enjoyed the toothpick hack. Just a recommendation. Decluttering some plates, cups and mugs. It should help dishes feel less overwhelming. It certainly helped my family of 7 anyway. Yeah, I've got rid of a lot, Jessica. So you'd be, if you watched back on some of my videos, you'd be a bit shocked to see what I'd already got rid of. I think you are right though. I think I could get rid of some more. What I don't want to get rid of is any of my Wedgwood sets. But what I can do is I can move some of my Wedgwood set into my cabinets in the dining room or in the lounge. What I find is when I have people come round, I leave some mugs and leave some plates in the kitchen. They get washed up and put in the kitchen, and they don't get put in the cabinet in the lounge or the dining room. So that's a good point. Teresa469, another great video, Emma. You are doing great. It all takes time. Regarding mincemeat, I would always brown first and drain off extra fat. Also, the cooking apples are amazing. So lucky not to have to buy. Love looking at all the Christmas books of your daughters. So adorable. I love children's books. Yeah, me too. And I said back, yes, I think it's nice getting the apples, and particularly getting them for free and lasting the apples through the winter. I used to, many years ago, get 5% fat for meat. But after doing quite a lot of research in a whole number of different areas, at the moment, a lot of children in the United Kingdom and adults are incredibly short of vitamin B12 and other vitamins that you need to get from meats, offal, fat. We used to have a diet which would have included offal meats, liver, kidneys. A lot of people don't tend to eat that now, and that means that a lot of children are having problems with their teeth and various other issues. So I stopped getting the 5% fat because the fat is not the danger, it's not the concern. Our government tells us that we need to be careful about fats. Actually, we need animal fats. I know if you're vegan, you might disagree. You can get fats from other places. I do understand that. But there are certain things that you get from animal meats that the human body relies upon. And so now I will get 15% fat, and I make sure that we eat all the fat. I would never drain it off. Yeah, the teeth is a big problem. We've got an epidemic of problems with children's teeth. And these are children that aren't eating sweets. But yeah, the danger is the sugar, not the fats. Teresa469, she replied and said about good fats such as avocado and salmon and good old cod liver oil. I completely agree. Very good point. Makes me think I should go and have some cod liver oil. I've got some in the cupboard. Carolyn says yes. Mac of Midwest Magic Cleaning shouts out other channels. I would love that. If he shouted out my channel, I'd probably get 1,000 followers in a night. I think he's the one that's got so many followers. He's really, really popular. He's done fantastically. And he's got a great channel. I know I love watching some of his videos, particularly the one recently about obsessive compulsive disorder and hoarders. I love his videos. I think at this point in the video, I nearly got trapped in the cupboard. I hurt myself so badly by stretching. I felt like I could just lie there for a small bit, catch my breath, stop my back from hurting, and just have a little rest, half in the cupboard and half out of the cupboard. There's a lot in there. There really is a lot in there, and I was just determined to try and clear this out. There's still a lot more that I need to do. So this is really only part 2, isn't it? Because I did some the other day, but there will be more. There will be part 3. Next comment from Rainy. Oh, to live where the flowers start to bud in January. January is usually one of our coldest months, and most everything is buried in snow, sleeping until the thaw in about late March, early April. We had over 3 inches of snow on Halloween, but it didn't stop the trick-or-treaters, true hearty Minnesotans, out trick-or-treating in 40-degree Fahrenheit with 40 miles an hour wind gusts and wet, soggy snow to walk through. We stopped buying gifts many years ago, shortly after my mum passed away. She was against it, so couldn't change her thinking. My sister was also against it, but gave in. She loved to shop and spend money on things, so many things. The exception was to buy for the children, but they're all adults now, and with kids of their own, so they have their own traditions. I tried to buy food items for gifts and would even make homemade chocolate-covered cherries, almond bark with lots of almonds, pizzelles, I'm not sure what that is, please tell me, loaves of banana bread instead of buying things that no one really needed or wanted. Now, tell me whether you're all agreeing listening to this, who fancies some of Rainy's banana bread? Because I certainly do. I bet that is absolutely delicious. I feel hungry just reading that post. If I was your family member and you were gonna buy me banana bread, make me banana bread, wow, I'd be friends forever. I think it's a very good idea to buy things that can be consumed. I really like that idea. And actually, I was very lucky. My sister got back from Estonia, where she went on holiday, you know, when I was looking after her lovely little rabbit. And she bought me some chocolates, which I thought was very nice. Not only do they taste very nice, but I can also consume them rather than an ornament or something. Kelly CJ, have you considered a washer-dryer combo unit? My parents have one in their condo and they love it. My washing machine is a combo. The problem is if I put towels on, That takes about 2 hours for them to dry, and then they come out damp. Miss Shareed. Have I said that right? Miss Hareed? Miss Hareed, I hope I've said that right, is a new subscriber from Suffolk. And she'd give me a United Kingdom flag. And I replied and said, that's super. Are you anywhere near Ipswich? And she said, I'm in Ipswich. Massive welcome. So I think now we have 2 followers from Norfolk and we've got 3 followers from Suffolk. If I'm wrong and someone else is out there listening from Norfolk and Suffolk, please let me know. Jen said, just a thought, could you do away with your toilet at the back door? I know you said you're the only one that really uses it, and I know when you're working in the garden it's so handy, but it could be a useful area to put your washing machine with the plumbing being there already. You are right, Jen. That would be a very good area, but the more I think about it, I think I could have both. I think what I should do is I should do a little video. I'll probably have to clean it and tidy it before I do the video. But I think if I do the video, then you can have a look. When I visualise it, I think I do visualise it bigger than what it is. But I do think that would be possible. Karen says our gardens are covered in snow until April/May. It just seems incredible, doesn't it? We might get 2 days of snow and then 2 days later it's generally gone. A few years ago we got Beast from the East. That was like big news for us because that was a lot of snow and I walked to work. But generally speaking, we don't get that much more. Karen Davis says you get more accomplished in one video than I do in a week. I so enjoy watching all the different things you do. We have those same kind of storage containers and sometimes they are really hard to clamp close. Easier if they're sitting flat on the counter. But even then they can be difficult. And do you know, after you said that, Karen, next time I did it up, I pressed it on the counter and you were right. It was much easier. At least you know they aren't going to pop open. Would you describe the crumble your daughter eats? I'm wondering if it means the same thing as crumble does here, or if it's more like what we know as trail mix. Karen in Virginia. I've never heard of trail mix, but I did reply back to say that crumble is cooked fruit at the bottom with the top made from flour, oats, butter or fat like margarine and sugar. That's what we call crumble. My husband does that top because he does a lovely sort of biscuity top crumble, and I do the fruit because my daughter prefers it cooked down. She says that I always cook it down more. She doesn't like it when there's big lumps of apple, which is sometimes what happens when Daddy does it. Jen says it's all very well having a dryer here in the UK, but this week it was pointed out in the news that we have one of the most expensive electricity prices in the world. It's just not fair. And that's the same with these heated dryers. They all cost a lot of money. And I personally think the next thing in the United Kingdom that's going to be going up is the price of water. That's what I think. Helen P says that she's got a washer, dryer and dishwasher and she uses them on an economy cycle at night. And she puts them both on a timer to start at 1. When she gets up at 5, she sorts the items out that could be dried in the machine and it cost her 45 pence to do 1 load of dishes and 1 wash and 1 drying cycle. People don't use a cheaper rate of electricity, so therefore it is expensive. I mean, that's absolutely fantastic, Helen, if you've got that. Where I am, I've not had anything like an economy price for years. I don't think we've had a cheaper rate of electricity at night for, I don't know, 10 years. Certainly more than 5 years. No, I'd say like 10 years. The other thing I'd be very wary about is like putting a washing machine or anything on, because the people that I speak to with Norfolk Fire and Rescue Service say that that's one of the biggest fires that they get called to. Appliances that have been, people go out and leave, or in the middle of the night, the appliance has an electrical fault. So yeah, we've got to think about that as well. At this point in the video, I discovered my diary from 1999, which was the year that me and my husband started to date. Now, I've never been a diary writer for writing every single day, but I had written quite a lot in there. Dates that I'd gone out with him, different places, dates when he'd gone to Las Vegas because he was in the forces, dates when I'd gone out with my sister in the evening, when I'd got my job and working. And then I found a programme from when I was 12 years old and I was in my school play and all sorts I found. So that did distract me a little bit. Brooke says, in this video, I could see the coffee grinder better. Maybe it could stay out by the espresso machine, or does your husband use a mocha pot on the stove? He doesn't usually use a mocha pot on the stove, but today I had wondered why he'd not used the coffee machine for some time. Something came up about this today, and he said to my daughter, "Oh, the coffee machine's not working properly." And I said, "Since when?" He said it's not been working for months. So I said, "Well, is it still in guarantee?" So he said, "No." I said, "Well, can someone fix it?" He says, "I don't know." So that's why he's not been using the coffee machine for so long, because it's not been working. I don't understand that. That's because I don't use it. I don't ever use the coffee machine. So I didn't know. And obviously I have not sorted it out to try and get it fixed. The book that mentioned a corpse being hung from Traitor's Gate was in the Bow Street Duchess mystery series by Cara Devlin. Unfortunately, I do not recall which one, and the audiobook has been returned to the library. When you mentioned that you and your husband like keeping up with politics, I couldn't help wondering what versions of what is going on in America come your way. Please do not feel the need to comment. I've got to tell you and all my followers from America that a church today, the senior pastor asked us all to pray for the United States. So whatever happens, think that this is just one church. Think about all the other churches which are thinking and praying and hoping that whatever happens is the best result for the United States. We do talk about it a lot. I messaged my cousin about it actually and said that I was thinking about her and about the United States of America. We had all the family round, didn't we, for our Guy Fawkes, our bonfire night celebrations, and we talked about it there as well. And all I would say, because I think it's best not to talk about politics, all I would say is America's a really big country. I mean, I don't know what the population is, but the population's got to be significant. And you'd think there'd be more contestants, wouldn't you? You'd think you'd have more contestants to choose from. Carolyn says, "Hi, hun, I agree with that lady. If you can't fit in a dishwasher, you must have a dryer." Nelson Tajodo is joining us from Berlin in Germany. Thank you, Nelson Tagodo, and I'm sorry if I pronounced that incorrectly. Michelle Perrier says, "I don't buy stain remover. I use Dawn, which is equal to your fairy liquid. It's so much cheaper and it works better." Karen says, "Maybe your husband is scared of getting trapped in the cupboards." Well, bearing in mind that I nearly fell in the cupboard, that might be a valid concern, Karen. Or maybe he's worried he'd be expected to make decisions about the Lego boxes. Yeah, maybe. Or maybe he'd be worried about having to make up all the Lego sets. Because I did keep going on about that for a while. I haven't gone on about that recently. I'll have to start going on about that. Maybe I'll bring down the Lego box and we can all work on it every single evening. Now, the other thing that I wanted to speak a little bit about was my invigilating job. So I do really need to message about my invigilating job really within the next sort of week or so. So a couple of you have said, give it a miss. I spoke to my husband about it and asked what he thought. He thinks that I'd be better to give it a miss. I am wondering, bear in mind, it doesn't pay well. I have to drive there. It's quite a challenge to fit it in with everything else. Last year they signed me up to a pension, which I didn't want, and then they took even more of my money for the said pension, which I then couldn't get back. And I thought actually maybe what I could do instead was a couple of more YouTube videos. I don't know, because like a couple of you have said, it's also a good idea having income from a range of different sources, and that's exactly what I think. You never know what the future holds. If I lost one of my other jobs, it's a good little job to have. Maybe I could just message the lady and say, unfortunately, I don't think I can do invigilating this year. Could she please keep my name? That might be one option, mightn't it? What do you think? So if she kept my name on the email list, and she could still keep me involved, and then if I wanted to do the retakes or the exams like the year after, I could still get involved and have that as an option. And I've worked hard for her and she seems to be happy with me, so hopefully she would say yes. So I think I might do that. I thought with the time that I would have done invigilating, why don't instead I book that time and spend that time in my garden? So I love my garden, I just haven't had the time that I would like to spend on it. So you can see at this point just how much paperwork I've actually got. So much paperwork. But the fantastic thing was that through all these piles and piles and piles of paperwork, when my dad came round, we screwed all the paperwork up and filled the guy's trousers and top. So the hoodie top, and then my daughter made him a face. You'll see him at the end of the video if you stay that long. And yeah, we just absolutely filled him with all the paperwork. So there was paperwork from when I was at school, from stuff to do with my work, my last job. Also paperwork to do with, insurance documents and statements from years ago. So there was quite a lot that I managed to get rid of, which I was really pleased about. So you'll see me do that for a little bit longer, just go through some of the papers and some of my books. And then after I've done that, you will see me sorting through. You'll see that I go through some of these other bags in that box. Goodness me, there's like so much stuff there. My mum kept so many really interesting things that I'd done when I was a child. There's a little diary from when I was 6 years old. Little thing that I've written about, all about my daddy. A little poem that I'd done, all the things that I'm going to do when I was 7 years old, and that said, Mummy, I promised to polish the table, to do the washing up, the wiping up. I sent it to my mum and she went, oh, you were also good at writing fairy stories. I think it was because when it was Mother's Day, we were encouraged to say all these things that we were going to do for our mums. It was really lovely to see, and I'd drawn little daffodils round the outside. I found some old music. Some really old music, so there's some of that I could get rid of, and some of my master's work that I either didn't really particularly enjoy or was group work. I just decided to get rid of that. I did keep all of my consultancy projects because that was just such an amazing thing to be able to do. So on the programme that I was part of, it was the part-time master's, MBA, and I got to go to Prague and do some consultancy work with one of the businesses there. So we worked for an estate agent or real estate, depending upon where you live. And we had to look at their customer base and look at how they marketed their services and what changes they should make to their overall organisational strategy. So we worked with them for quite some time and looked at the overall market and then presented a report to them and did a presentation. And I really enjoyed that piece of work. It was really good to do that as part of the course, but also just good for my general development. So I'm getting right towards the end of my video now. So thank you very, very much for watching my video. Thank you for likes, for comments, for when you watch the adverts, that's how I'm generating, money from my channel, from the revenue ads. So every time you do that, I get a certain percentage. I don't quite know how it works, And then if I get each 1,000 views, I get a certain amount of money. So let's hope that we do really well for the month of November. So thank you in advance for your support with this. You're going to see a picture of the guy that we made. So he was stuffed full of all that paperwork that I talked about. And I'm going to show you a little bit around the garden so you can see me walk down the garden. See the little bit that I've started of the bonfire. I got that going with one match. I was so pleased with myself, and it was roaring very, very quickly. And then I went all around the garden and had a clear up. So there were some things that have been sitting around the garden, which, you know, a nice box. I really liked this box, but when I looked at it, it was going rotten and it got woodworm. And I thought, this is silly. Just let me clear some of this up. And then my mum is replacing her kitchen. So she said to me, do you want me to bring the kitchen cabinets down? And then you'll see good old Guy Fawkes, who tried to blow up the House of Parliament. And you'll see some fireworks, and then my fire right at the end. So thank you very much for watching this video, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!